Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Can I get a motion to enter the public session, please?
I'll make a motion to enter public session.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Maslin?
Jean, we're having a little trouble hearing you.
I'll go to roll call. Mr. Maslin? Can you hear me now? Mr. Maslin?
Jeff, you were muted.
My apologies. I am here.
Mr. Nevins?
Here.
Mrs. Wilson?
Present.
Mrs. Jaskula?
Here.
And Mr. Dykenderfer?
Here.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. First, we'll start off with comments from the public on agenda items. Just a reminder of those members of the public in attendance. This is one of two opportunities afforded members of the public to comment on or inquire about agenda items. Members of the public also have an opportunity at the end of the evening's agenda to ask questions or voice concerns or comments on matters not formally noted on the agenda. We do appreciate everyone's cooperation.
Jeff, why don't you give a reminder of the email address?
Yep, BOE@menands.org. BOE comments@menands.org. BOE comments@menands.org. It looks like we have two. One is relevant to the agenda. The other one we'll read at the end. First one comes from Bill Nevins. Hello, I wish to thank the board, superintendent, and principal for the information shared relating to requests made for sports and clubs to proceed at Menands School, specifically the three proposals he was talking about. I have to say I'm disappointed that board members and myself did not want to address modifying the COVID plan to allow spring sports and clubs to start without revising the over 7-month-old COVID plan that was presented as a fluid and changeable document. The ability for sports and clubs to use facilities inside and out won't happen this year. The next board meeting is scheduled for the end of April, and following approvals for safety plans as soon as students could engage in activities would be into May. I would like to ask if any teachers have expressed interest in running any clubs for students. Additionally, some parents have expressed interest in students participating in engagement activities, but relied on my voice to express interest. How many parents need to individually ask for sports and clubs to start for the administration to act? Thank you, Bill Nevin. Thank you for that, Bill. Mr. Nevins, I don't see anything else in the email relevant to agenda items.
I just refreshed and I do not either.
Okay. We have one more that we'll read at the end. It's not related to the agenda, but we'll move forward. I don't see anything in the chat either. You're monitoring the chat too as well. It's not open, correct? Okay. We'll move along then. Let's see. We have approval of minutes. Is there a discussion needed for approval of the minutes, or can we go right to a resolution?
Unless anybody has any questions.
I have none. May I please have a resolution?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District accept the minutes of the February 8th, 2021 meeting.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Make sure you have your mute off. I've only heard two. I heard from Bill. I haven't heard from Jen. Jen, I can see you, but I don't hear you.
I said aye.
Okay, great.
Sorry.
Those against, or gavel. Resolution carries. Moving along to communication to the Board of Education. Looks like we have two. One is from the Yearbook Club and the other is from Mr. Nevins. Did everyone receive that correct?
Yes.
All right. Moving along to business matters. We have a couple of discussion items that are on the agenda. First is the introduction of James Lovett, our Shared Technology Director. Also, that's all I have on there. Just one. Is that correct? Okay.
That is correct.
Just the
So
one item.
if I could have the opportunity, I'd like to introduce James Lovett, who is with us tonight. As the board knows, we have now a pretty lengthy relationship with South County for some shared services, and recently the board approved extending that service to include technology directorship shared with South County. And James is with us this evening. Normally he would be with us in person and see your nameplates in front of you. I think he can see your little monikers in front of your name, but if you would each take an opportunity to introduce yourself to James, and then I'll give him the opportunity to speak briefly with the board.
I'll start to say hello, James. Jeff Maslin, Board President here. Welcome aboard.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Hi, James.
Oh, James, Bill Nevins. Sorry, Courtney, go ahead.
I figured we were going in order. I'm Courtney Jeskulov. Nice to meet you, James.
Nice to meet you, Courtney.
John Diefendorfer, welcome aboard. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Wilson, welcome.
Thank you.
That's back to me, Bill Nevins. Welcome, James. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that everybody?
That's everybody, James.
All right. It's always a joy in virtual meetings. It's always a little tenuous when you first come on and start meeting people, but I'm really happy to have the opportunity. I've heard great things from my colleagues, Matt and Jim and Dr. Perry, and then actually having spent some time with Dr. Long and getting to know what Menands is all about, touring the building, and just getting a sense of educational philosophy and the great things that are going on at Menands. It really is a great opportunity, and I'm excited. I'm not super scared of the findings of the audit. I think it's going to wind up being a little bit of a it's going to hurt a little bit, but I think there's going to be a lot of great things that come out of it. That's the beauty of these audits, is you get to find out the things that you need to improve on, and then you can improve on them quite quickly. So I'm really looking forward to working together in the future. I think there are great things in front of us, and I just can't wait to see where we go. So anything I can do, I am at your service. I am at Dr. Long's service. Anything that she needs or you need, both in person, virtual, whether that's on a leadership front, instructional support, I'm here for you, and just reach out. My email, unfortunately, part of this job is that I am connected 24/7. So if you need me, please do not hesitate to reach out, and I look forward to working together in the future.
Thanks so much, James.
James, what is your background?
So it's a very interesting, very long story that I was shortened. I started out as a classroom teacher at Livingston Magnet Academy in 2001. So I did 6 years at Livingston. I did 2 years then at Hackett as a social studies teacher. So I was self-contained at Livingston. I was social studies at Hackett, and then I was a teacher on special assignment in the technology department at Albany. All at the same time, I had got my administrative degree, and my assistant superintendent in Albany became the superintendent in Ballston Spa, and an opportunity in Ballston Spa arose, and so I left Albany somewhat begrudgingly because I wasn't necessarily ready to leave the classroom. I loved it, but the opportunity was too good to pass up, and so I went to Ballston Spa, and loved it there as well. Worked there for 7 years, from 2010 to 2017. And then in 2017, another great opportunity in South Colony came up, and I had to take it. So I am actually a graduate of South Colony in 1996. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I go back and forth depending on which meeting I'm walking out of. But so I've been in the classroom. I've been around the classroom. I still consider myself very much an instructional leader. That's my wheelhouse. Obviously, I've picked up quite a bit of the network infrastructure and support side of the shop over the course of the last 8 to 10 years. But instruction is my wheelhouse, and that's the long story short.
Well, welcome aboard. Thanks for answering that question. I appreciate it. Always good to know where people have come from.
My pleasure.
And as James alluded to, he and I have already met, and we've met here with Kathy and with Jim Hockney, who is our shared IT support with South Colony. And James is already on board with our policy committee to begin some of the important work that we started, and that we will really revamp later this month, beginning with many of our technology policies. So thanks again for being here tonight, James. Certainly feel free to stay on and participate, but do not feel obligated to stay if you have other responsibilities. We certainly understand that.
I will probably turn off my camera, but I will stay on just to get a feel for some of the workings of board meetings. Obviously, I've been around a lot of board meetings for a very long time, and so getting used to every board has its own feel and its own culture, and I will stay on and start to get a feel for this one.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving along, we have business office for information. Enclosed for the information of the board are copies of the following warrants and claims auditor report for the month of February 2021. Fund A looks like warrants number 39 and warrants number 41, totaling a little over 288,000, actually 289,000. Any questions or any discussion needed on those before we move along to business office for approval? Those warrants?
Not for me.
Okay. We'll move along to budget transfers then. Any discussion on those items for transfer? All right, can I have a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District approve the attached budget transfers for February 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Against? Resolution carries. We will move along to the treasurer's report. Enclosed is the treasurer's report for the month of February 2021. Any discussion item on this? Any questions? Lively bunch tonight. All right, can I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District approve the treasurer's report for the month of February 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carries. Move along to standard workday resolution for employees. Any questions for discussion?
I was just wondering where this came from or how it came to be.
And James mentioned, and I have Kathy here so she can chime in. As the board knows, we've been working with the auditors from the state controller's office. And though we know their focus is going to be on IT and data security, as they've looked through other things, they've made some additional recommendations along the way. This is one of those recommendations. Moving forward, it will become part of our annual reorganization meeting. But it's required for employees for retirement purposes, and Kathy, chime in here if I'm misrepresenting this. who don't have a workday defined in their employment agreement.
Thank you, Dr. Wu.
Other questions? All right, can I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District, location code 70104, hereby establishes 7 hours as a standard workday for its civil service employees in the 2020-2021 school year, and will report days worked to the New York State and local employees retirement system based on the timekeeping system or the record of activities maintained and submitted by these members to the clerk of this body, school nurse, food service helper, cafeteria cashier.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carries. Moving along to adoption of public employee health emergency plan. A discussion item or any questions? All right, can I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District adopt the public employer health emergency plan for the Menands Union Free School District in accordance with S 8617B/A10832, which amends New York State Labor Law, Section 27C, and New York State Ed Law, paragraphs K and L, because I think it's lowercase, not I. K and L of the subdivision 2 of section 2801A as amended by section 1 of part B in chapter 56 of the laws of 2016 as applicable to address public health emergency planning requirements.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution carries. Move along to some contracts. Star and Strand Transportation Inc. approval contract extension at CPI for the 2021-2022 school year. Enclosed for the board's copy of the letter from Star and Strand proposing the extension. Any questions or discussion? All right, then move along to a resolution, please.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District hereby authorizes the extension of the current special education transportation contract between the district and Star and Strand Transportation Incorporated for the 2021-2022 school year at CPI, subject to the approval of the New York State Education Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution carries. We will move along to the second resolution. Are there any questions or discussion on that? If not, can I get a resolution, please?
Sorry, I have a quick question. This is just for the Star and Strand. We haven't heard from the other companies yet as to
No,
whether.
remember we went out to bid last year and we did 5-year contracts for all of the other runs. This is the one exception.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Be it further, Be it further resolved, the Board of Education hereby authorizes the superintendent or designee to execute an extension of the current special education transportation contract with Star and Strand for the 2021-2022 school year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution carries. Erno Enterprises, enclosed for the board is a copy of the contract from Erno Enterprises to renew its contract for landscape services through the 2022-2023 school year. Any questions or discussion needed for this? If not, can I get a resolution, please?
Yeah, that's me. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District approve the contract extension from Erno Enterprises for landscape services for the 2021, 2022, and 2022, 2023 school years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carries. Intermunicipal agreement for labor relations with Hudson Valley City School District. Enclosed for the board is a copy of the agreement for services contract from the Hudson City School District for labor relations. Any questions or discussion needed with this? Now, can I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District approve the intermunicipal agreement for labor relations services from the Hudson City School District.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
All. My screen froze, sorry. I'm sorry, can we do that again? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
I was opposed, Jeff.
Okay, gotcha. Resolution carries. Move along to the next personnel matters we have now. Resignation, custodian Jalen Glasgow. Any questions or discussion needed there? If not, I can get a resolution.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District accepts the letter of resignation from Jalon Glasgow regarding resigning from his position as custodian from the Menands Union Free School District effective February 17th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution carries. Moving along to appointments, long-term substitute, Rachel Haas. Any questions or discussion needed? If not, I can get a resolution.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District appoint Rachel Haas to a long-term substitute teaching position commencing on or about March 15th, 2021 through June 30th, 2021 at the per diem rate of $180.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carries. Next item is Board of Education matters. We have CSE, CPSE recommendations. Can I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District approve the CSE, CPSE recommendations as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carries. Substitute teacher is fully cleared. Can I get a resolution, please?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Menands Union Free School District approve the following substitute teachers for the 2020-2021 school year as listed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Resolution carries. Designations. It looks like we have one change in amongst the dates. Any questions or comments related to the designations?
This is due because of the vote, right? We had to move it because of the vote.
Correct.
Yep. All right, can I get a resolution then?
Be it resolved that the regular monthly meeting of the Menands Union Free School District Board of Education will be revised as follows. And the change is April 21st is the changed from April 28th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carries. Next up is student matters. Class size update as of the 2nd. looks like a total of 311 students, in person 189, and virtual 122. Dr. Long, when are the next two dates for K5 and 6-8 for any changes?
And it's actually one date, Jeff. It's the elementary second trimester, which is coming up at the end of this month.
Okay.
Remember, middle school was at the semester. However, that said, Mrs. Canavo has been doing a great job of communicating with families, and when we have been approached by families to allow students to make a transition, I believe in all of those cases, we've been able to accommodate that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion item? If not, we'll move along to superintendent's comments. Looks like
I have a few here, so bear with me. And some of this the board is aware of from the update. First, let me speak to our Moody's rating upgrade. We know from our experience through the building project that on occasion, because of circumstances, that our credit rating will be reviewed. We went through that process when we bonded last year. And at times that review will come around again if there are concerns or successes, for lack of a better word. We were chosen for a review because of our favorable status, and I'm pleased to report that our status has been upgraded from an A1 to an AA3. And I think that's a really good position for us to be in as we look to the future and what we have to do beyond our most recent project and any borrowing. The second item I have is committee updates. And I have three different groups I want to update you on. The strategic planning group, which is taking the work that the board did with the goals that you developed and trying to craft them into a long-range plan with measurable goals and outcomes. We'll be having a meeting on March 24th. You will recall we're transitioning our work with NISBA into work with CASDA, or the Capital Area School Development Association. So two ladies from CASDA will be facilitating that meeting on the 24th with 10 committee members that cover all constituent groups from our school community. So we're looking forward to that work. Our diversity and inclusivity group, which is comprised of 7 members, again, across all constituent groups, will be having a meeting on March 30th to review the work to date and look ahead. And we're very excited about an opportunity, and thanks to Mr. Maslin for sharing this with us. The group will also be participating throughout the month of April in a webinar series hosted by the Association of School Administrators and facilitated by Louvel Brown, who is really a pioneer in this area and an expert. And we'll be doing that along with a study of his book throughout the month of April. So I look forward with what we will take from that and be able to bring back to the board. And lastly, the policy committee. I mentioned James is going to assist us with those technology policies right up front when we restart our work. And I sent out a survey tonight to the membership of that group between 2 dates in March, but that group also will be meeting again before we come together as a board in April. So I'm hopeful to be able to provide you updates on the work of all of those groups. Also wanted to look at, as we look ahead to the end of the school year, kind of ironic that this time last year we were still in school. It was shortly before we were forced to go remote. And we certainly know that last year, because of those circumstances, there were a lot of time-honored traditions and end of the year culminating events and celebrations that we really had to look at and do differently. And though we had to do them differently, I was pretty pleased at what we were able to do for our students. We are in some different circumstances, yet some of them similar this year. So we are really beginning to have those conversations in earnest here about those activities, things like field day, things like graduation, things like kindergarten moving up, and paying close attention to the most recent guidance and information and talking about how we can still have those events in some way, shape, or form to celebrate our students in the year that they have had this year. The next item I have is the board member term length survey. You know well that you've been discussing the consideration of a reduction in the term length from 5 years to 3 and wanting to entertain a conversation if that would increase interest. Mr. Maslin had the opportunity last week to meet with Aaron Cagwin, our public information specialist. They did craft a very brief survey that will be deployed likely by the end of this week to our parents and direct school community. And then we will work to get it out to the broader community via the Menands activities, again, so I can bring you some feedback when we next come together at a meeting. And it's hard to believe this is our last meeting before the upcoming April break and associated and affiliated holidays. So I just wanted to take the time to thank everybody and wish them a much deserved upcoming break. That includes board members, that includes our students, that includes our teachers and our families. I think more than ever, we need this break this year. So thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Long. Move along to principal's comments. Mrs. Canavo.
Thank you for having me join you this evening. I have a couple of updates for the Board of Education. The first is around jumps and hoops for heart. I'd like to thank Coach All and Coach Bettinger for making this a possible event for our students again this year. While the focus was certainly on a healthy heart and not as much on the fundraising aspect, given our current circumstances, the students were still able to participate within their PE classes, both in person and virtually. Next up, I wanted to thank the PTA for hosting their first virtual PTA bingo night. I know that was a big undertaking, and thank you specifically to Lindsay Lapari for taking the plunge and jumping in. The kids had a great time. Some of our staff members and their kids were able to participate. So overall, it was a very successful evening, and prizes went home to all of our families. So families that were able to participate in that should be looking for those in backpacks. Next up, I have our kindergarten information night that we held last week. It's hard to believe that we're thinking about incoming kindergartners for the fall of 2021, but we had 12 families participate, and we are just getting rolling as far as kindergarten registration and information night goes. I think that the families learned a little bit about our school. We gave them kind of those first steps to take, and we look forward to meeting our families and working through them so that we can welcome them with us in the fall. And then last but not least, our students each year for many, many years, I'm not sure how many years it goes back, they participate in the Water Elite Elks Lodge essay writing contest. And this year the contest was around how to demonstrate patriotism. We are one of 2 schools that participate. Water Elite participates as well. And I want to congratulate our 3 winners. We had students in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. So congratulations to Sanvi Jaju, who was our 3rd place essay winner, Aditya Sivakumar, who was in 2nd place. And then our 1st place was our 8th grader, Tanisha Merle Hanamar. So congratulations to all those 3 students. The writing was quite impressive. And then we had, I think, 6 or 7 other students who were recognized for their writing, including a 5th grader as well. So that was exciting to see.
Thank you, Ms. Canavo.
Jeff, before you move on, it occurred to me while Ms. Canavo was presenting that our incoming kindergartners will be the Menands School class of 2030.
What a world it will be. All right, we'll move along. We have informational material, a couple items. Looks like spring break, no school, April 2nd through the 9th. That includes Good Friday. And our next board meeting is scheduled for April 21st at 6:30. Let's see, we may have one sooner than that if there is budget information that comes out of the state, and additional budget workshops may be scheduled.
And Jeff, if I could chime in here, because I did ask board members to bring their calendars tonight. So I'm going to just refer back to our original budget calendar. We are not going to hold the budget workshop tonight because, as I shared with the board, we have no new information since we last met. We were actually somewhat ahead of the game. We had our tax cap already calculated. You have draft 1 of the budget already. We really can't go anywhere with draft 2 until we have more information. We do have budget workshops scheduled for April 12th and April 19th. That was on the original budget calendar. I'm hopeful we'll have more information by then. And we do have to adopt by April 23rd, which aligns well now with our changed board meeting of April 21st. So nothing to add to what we had on the calendar, just a reminder of those 2 scheduled budget workshops.
What time do we have those scheduled for?
Typically, we do those at 6:30 as well. But if the board has other thoughts, they can let me know and we can adjust accordingly.
Is that okay for everyone? 6:30 on those 2 dates? I think we've already gone through it, but you know. Okay. Miscellaneous. Does anybody have anything? I'll actually go first very briefly. Dr. Long talked about the Diversity, Inclusivity, and Equity Committee, and there's one additional opportunity for us as board members. Next week, NYSBA is doing a free webinar from 12 to 1:30 on St. Patty's Day, so you can take your lunch hour and not have the green beer and just wait till 5 o'clock for that if that's so you choose to do that. But 12 to 1:30, there's a NYSBA webinar. You can just go to their website. It's free to sign up for. And it's about building a more decisive school workforce. So a little bit of, as we look to the future and in line with some of our missions, some of our goals, so I thought that would be helpful. I will be attending that. And that's all I had this evening. Anybody else have anything?
I have a few, Jeff.
Okay.
I had a follow-up meeting with the census. We made that big push this past year to make sure everyone gets counted in the village. Partnered with the PTA in the village to get funding to make sure that happened. A lot of information went out, got around. As the quote unofficial spokesperson for the village and the census information, that all that information was delayed. It was supposed to be reported out December 30th. The past federal administration had some issues there, and the information got delayed. We will actually know how many people live in the village by the 30th of April. That information gets released, and later in the year, the information gets released for redistricting plans for the government. Just an update on that. As far as the village goes, they made reference to, and I believe a lot of the members of the Menands administration was involved in the walk through the nature trail and putting up the reading pylons. And I got half of that, and I understand the concept. Actually, I know what they're talking about, but I forget what it's actually called. But they're moving forward with getting that done. And the story, there you go, story walk. Great idea, great thing. That's a positive thing for everybody. It's a good thing there. The village also has on their website through Friday, open for comment, their comprehensive police practices review committee. It's open for comments. Everything that went on this past year for our Black and brown communities and the reforms that the government has put down on communities. Menands went through their comprehensive plan and they came out with their police reform thing. So it's open for public comment through March 12th. So if you have a chance, read I think it was 12 pages, 16 pages, something like that, describes the police and the village and what they have going there. Lastly, their budget meeting came out. They're looking at a 3.1% increase in village taxes. A lot of that has to do with sales tax revenue loss from last year. Just a heads up.
Was that has that been formally adopted, or is that what phase is that?
No, they're in the same kind of timeline we are. It has to go for a public comment, which is coming out in a few weeks, and then it'll go for review, and then the trustees and the mayor have to adopt that. But that's the number they're throwing around right now, 3.1.
Okay, I was curious to know where they were at, just because of the the plan that's coming out, the COVID relief plan, the next wave. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else have anything? Well, I would say, actually, we'll thank our attorney, Aaron O'Grady-Parent, for joining us this evening. Sorry we had a board member that was 10 minutes late. I know you're auditing us, so please don't take us off our points when you're scoring us. If you do, take it off Mr. Nevin's score.
No, there's no penalty for being delayed. Thank you.
I was already at a 0, so I'm at a -10 now.
If nobody else says anything, we'll go right to public comment. All right, the public comment. Please note during the public comment sessions, members of the community may address the board on agenda and non-agenda items. The board president may limit remarks of individual speakers to a reasonable time, and speakers must identify themselves and the topic on which they would like to make remarks. I do have one email here. I don't know if you've gotten anything further, Dr. Long, but I'll read it. It's from Mr. Boulay, Steve Boulay, Menands resident. With some lightening of COVID rules, will the playground basketball rims be replaced? As we move towards warmer weather, it would be great to reopen more places within the village for our youth to get much needed exercise. Thank you, Mr. Boulay. I don't see anything in the chat, and I don't see anything, any more emails.
I refreshed. I don't see anything else either. Jeff?
Okay. If there's nothing further, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
A second. Oh. Sorry, John.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
right.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.